Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with the channel or watching the channel for the first time, the reason why it's called Uncommon Sense because here on this platform, we discuss everyday issues where we try to find logical solutions, but not everyone uses logic. So, for that reason, it is called Uncommon Sense. I also have another channel called Latina Diaspora, which is a much smaller channel. On it, I discuss issues pertaining to Latinos. Right now, I'm currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and the subscriber mode has been enabled. Meaning, if you're not a subscriber and if you wish to enter a comment in the chat, you need to subscribe to the channel. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who have already subscribed to the channel, whether you've been there from the very beginning or just recently joined. I really appreciate your support. Also, want to send a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media, particularly Instagram and TikTok. I also want to send a huge shout out to all those who allow me to enter into your devices and those who watch from the clouds, even the haters. So, what I'm going to ask you to do, if you have not done so already, I'm going to ask you to subscribe, like, and set the bell notification to all. So, therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on a playback. So, as you can see by the thumbnail, I'm going to give you my thoughts regarding last night's debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. If you can call it a debate, I mean, it was more like an accident that does occur. But before we get into the topic, we're going to have another episode of In My Words. Now, being today is 9/11, it is an anniversary of a very sad and traumatic day in our history. It was 23 years ago where individuals in plane had, conducted terrorist attacks against the United States, of which Twin Towers was destroyed. The Pentagon was damaged, and another plane that was, destination we're not too sure, crashed in Pennsylvania. And the result that we lost nearly 3,000 people that day. So it is I can just imagine that for the loved ones of these people that passed away, it's a very sad, painful memory. And if you have never lost a loved one, you could even begin to understand the grief someone bears when they lose a loved one. Especially with a loss of life this large. I mean, when you think about it, they left their homes on the way to go to work, school, or other appointments. And about 3,000 people never return home. The people that lost spouses, parents, children, siblings, family members, co-workers, friends, and other people that was near and dear to them. There is no way that we can take away the pain that these people have gone through. My thoughts and my prayers are with the families of these people, because on that day we gained 3,000 angels, and just think about it as if he was growing up as a child, being exposed to such horror as far as some people jumping to their, how can I say it, final destination because they didn't want to be burned alive. There's nothing that we can say or do to take away their pain. And not only that, there were thousands of people who were infected um, with the rescue and the recovery of bodies. Thousands of people became ill, and hundreds have died after the 7/11 attacks. They succumbed to various diseases, types of cancer, and women became widows. Men became widowers. Long time no see, daughter. Que Dios te bendiga. Sinceramente te extraño mucho. Espero que está bien. But the fact of the matter is this. We have to learn to value the people that are in our lives. Because once they're gone, that's it. Okay? And that's something that I have to learn the hard way. But not to the extent that these people have. But in any case, the best way that we can honor the memories of these people is to apply the life lessons that they taught us. Yeah, that was a mess, okay? Good evening, Irby. Yeah, that was a mess. In fact, that's when I'm going to be talking about it. And really, it was not much of a debate. I will compare it to the debate that you had with Chi Chi years ago. And Donald Trump was just as incoherent as Chi Chi was. And I remember that debate. Oh, before I forget, let me just state that my favorite cyber daughter, yep, I agree, has her YouTube channel called Latin Explaining TV. Now, I know it's been a long time since she produced content, but she do have a lot of great content out there. So I'm going to ask that she show some love to my cyber daughter and check out her content and subscribe to her channel if you have not done so already. But that's the best way to honor anyone. If you want to call that a performance, but you know what? We disagree. I mean, look, we have disagreed so much, so it's not even anything new. And you know what? You'll be interested to see which one of these candidates you're going to support, if you're going to support any of these people. Yeah. Well, I wish I could say there'll be other debates. I don't think so. Uh, yes, I am. Yes, I am. And I have okay, in fact, I'm going to be doing a string on Friday night. Why I'm not supporting Donald Trump. Um, I have a lot of reasons. Um, if there's time, I'll briefly discuss the reason why. But in any case, well, you know what? I have a feeling Denise. No, I see. Okay, you know what? In all fairness, I don't know about Bobby Kennedy Jr. other than what it's been told, but I don't want to base it just on what the media has said because I would rather do the research myself and find out what what he stands for. Well, let's just say, okay, let's just say we're gonna disagree again, okay? But it's okay. I love you anyway, okay? But I mean, we can't. Look, the fact of the matter is, this country is in a messy state. But in any case, we're going to get into the main topic. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share video portions of the debate um, between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Now, I get it. People are not exactly all that enamored with Kamala Harris. I'm not exactly all that, no. I don't agree with a lot of stuff that she believes in. But I'm going to tell you some of the reasons why I cannot support Trump. Project 2025, which, if he succeeds, he will get rid of thousands of union federal employees and replace them with a bunch of mega sheep people. He's been trying to do away with unions for years. So this is nothing new. Also, he wants to weaken the system of checks and balance. He also wants to do away with the Department of Education and Homeland Security and the other things. Um, what I'll do, Denise, if you're interested, I'll send you links because some of the streams stating why I'm not supporting Donald Trump. Okay. But these are the choices that we have. What I've said before, and I'm going to continue to say, support who you're going to support. Just make sure you do your research regarding who is these people that you're supporting. And then after that, if you still feel comfortable, go ahead. So you can tell when the fact that Donald Trump barely um, approached Kamala Harris that it was not going to be much of a debate. Okay, you know what? Like I said before, that's your opinion. I respect it. We're going to disagree. We're going to disagree. But before I continue, well, yeah, So, you know what? Let's just say we're going to disagree. But before I continue, let me just state for the record that the link to join the panel has been pinned. At any time while this stream is going on, um, if you want, you can hit the link, join the panel, and express your point of view regarding who you wish to support, who won the debate, or who did crappy. Okay, I'm gonna tell you. Okay, realistically speaking, the problem with voting for one of these two people, there's not much of a likelihood that they're going to get elected. First of all, the fact of the matter is there are independent parties. Unfortunately, independent parties, um, unless they have like a lot of money or like a huge army of volunteers to try to make up for what we have, um, they're going to be ignored for the most part. No, okay. Actually, look, for me, the vote for Trump is basically wanting Trump to form a dictatorship. Basically, trying to put a death to the unions. Basically, it means creating a dictator. And plus, we cannot afford to live in the past. Okay? That's something that people in my generation have been accused of doing. And believe me, listen to Trump going on talking about how their people in Springfield, Ohio, are eating dogs and cats. Okay, what type of lunacy is this? And this is coming from a man, Denise. He actually said it himself that he wants to do away with the Department of Education. He wants to be a dictator, supposedly for a day, knowing that he wants to be a dictator for. And he has said to a group of Christians in one convention that after 2024, people don't have to vote again. Translation: he wants to form a dictatorship. Okay, but I don't want to go. I don't want to go spend the entire evening discussing why I think Trump is terrible. I've done that already. I'd rather focus on the debate. Good evening, April Shaw. April. Well, you know what? That's fine. But let me just say, April Showers has her channel, so I'm going to ask that if you have not done so, please check out her content and subscribe to her channel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Well, okay. So just give me a moment. Now, the video, I'm not going to go through the entire debate because it's like almost 2 hours long. Okay, but you know what, Denise? In all fairness, Kamala Harris is not the first person that went through this process that no one picked her. Gerald Ford went through the same thing when he became president after Richard Nixon resigned. Okay, So we do have to keep it okay. So we have to keep it in context. Okay. And again, I'm not a big fan of Kamala Harris, but I'm more of a fan of unions. I'm more of a fan of court of law. And plus, Donald Trump was found guilty of 34 counts. He's the second convicted person to run for president. Okay? I would disagree, but you know what? Let's just say we're going to disagree on this. Okay? Look, in all fairness, and I've said this before, Joe Biden should not run the second time. Okay? Neither should Trump, because both of them, their cognitive skills have declined. Both of them. If that was the case, I wouldn't care less. Okay, I wouldn't care less, because let's keep it real. A lot of the men that have been occupied the White House have had side chicks. It's just that the way he went around to do it. But that's neither here nor there. So what I'm going to do is well, like I said, we will disagree. So what I'm going to do is just give me a moment. There's my computer.
Lindsay Davis and David New are wrapping.
Okay, well, like I said before, realistically speaking, both of these people don't have much of a chance. Let's keep it real. Let's see.
The next 57 days, we do not know the outcome of the election.
Yeah.
But if these matter at all,
For those voters,
Oops,
if
sorry.
she got 10,
That's not what I wanted to show. Just okay. Like I said, I mean, I would rather focus on the debate. There will be another opportunity to engage why people hold the beliefs that they hold. I'd rather focus on the debate itself. That's just my humble opinion. Like I said before, I mean, it was not really a debate. It was more like a Saturday night skit. Let's keep it real. So I'm just gonna wait. Okay.
The only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounce back, and it bounced back and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy. And the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
Now, in all fairness, there's been a lot of speculation that the reason why Trump is trying to regain the White House, frankly, so he won't have to face the 91 criminal charges levied against him. I am not going to say that's 100% true. The problem is he's not articulating what his plan is. Basically, all he's doing is questioning the ethnicity of Kamala Harris and calling her names and all that, and personal attacking Joe Biden. And again, Joe Biden is old. And look, and again, let me make this perfectly. Okay, April, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but let me just make it perfectly clear. I have no problem when people disagree with me. People can disagree with me, and let's keep it clear. Denise and I have disagreed over many things multiple times. This is nothing. This is nothing new. Okay. But the fact of the matter is this: Denise is expressing an opinion. She has a right to express her opinion, just like I have a right to express mine. Okay, so I want to make that perfectly clear. And again, believe me, if I thought that Robert Kennedy or West had a truly serious chance of winning, I will definitely consider them. Unfortunately, when it comes to third-party candidates, for the most part, they don't do well. Okay? The last time that a third-party candidate did very well was back in 1968 when George Wallace, who ran as independent, as a segregationist, won a significant number of electoral votes. That is the last time that a third-party candidate had any electoral votes. Because unfortunately, third-party, the way the system is set up, unless you are a Republican, unless you're a Democrat, you're not going to get seriously considered. Okay? That's just the reality. The only way this is going to happen is that the whole system is going to have to be changed, that third-party candidates can be in equal footing with the Democrats and Republicans. And unfortunately, I don't see that happening. I don't see it happening. Okay? Particularly when you take a look at the RNC and the DNC today, no. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show another clip.
On AI, on quantum computing, focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights. But what Donald Trump did, let's talk about this, with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi, ! When we know that Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us.
Have we forgotten COVID? Have we forgotten how Donald Trump reacted to COVID? First of all, he tried to downplay the illness, which killed hundreds of thousands of Americans. And then talked about, oh, it's going to be over in Easter. And then talked about, well, we should drink bleach. And the mechanisms of which Barack Obama had set up to deal with it, he got rid of. Good evening, Eddie Gordo do Brazil. I think this is your first time here. I just want to say thank you very much for joining the stream. You're more than welcome. And again, look, people have their views. People express what they, okay. And again, what this is, or okay, what it should have been, is how these two are going to deal with the problems that this country has, which this country has a lot of problems. Okay, there's a fentanyl epidemic. Okay, there's a crisis regarding housing, affordable housing. There's a problem as far as this migrant crisis, which Biden screwed up with. Actually, Denise, a lot of my information is not based on CNN. It's based on some independent and some of the progressive media people. So I don't base my information based on CNN and MSNBC and not even Fox News. Okay, so respectfully, I don't depend on CNN and MSNBC for my news information. No, because really they have downplayed to such a degree Trump's cognitive decline that's almost criminal. But yet, when Biden was still running, they would talk about it nonstop. How his cognitive decline has gone down so much to the extent that people accused of hiding it. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I will share with you some of the people I watch. I'll DM you. Okay, but believe me, there have been other people. It's just that I don't want to get sidetracked. I want to focus on the debate itself, and let us continue.
Issue has torn our country apart, and they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came
Well,
to
I
your
won't
desk?
have to because, again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote. Issue has torn.
Okay, now when it comes to this issue regarding so-called reproductive rights, Trump had made so many flip-flops, it's not even, it's hard to keep count. Originally, he was pro-choice, and then in order to, get himself in good standing with the evangelical Christians, he became pro-life. Then he's talking about how under him, women's reproductive rights would be protected, infuriating the evangelical Christians. Okay. Now, I myself, I am pro-life, and I believe that the only exceptions to abortion is the mother's life is in danger, rape, or incest. Okay. But Donald Trump has gone through so many different changes and machinations regarding so-called reproductive rights. It's all I'm going to say is, don't take my word for it. You listen to Donald Trump himself, because he said it so many times. And we will continue fair use.
Issue has torn our country apart, and they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter, because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came
Well,
to
I
your
won't
desk?
have to, because again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50 and essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then her.
Okay, when it comes to the student loans, my understanding is that they try to bring some sort of relief, because he has students that took out hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt. So what they try to do is try to bring in some relief, which they were not successful in achieving. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. Now, as far as what I watch the David Parkin show. I also watch the TEC show. I also watch Ring of Fire, Fire and Balance. So those are some of the people where I get my information from. Okay, I do not, and I repeat, do not get my base my information from MSNBC or CNN or even Fox News. In all fairness, I did get my information from Fox News, but that was years ago. Okay. So what I do, so basically my sources of information comes from various YouTube creators. So it's just to give you an idea. And now we will continue fair use.
I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea. And how unfair that would have been, part of the reason they lost, to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free. But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D., and I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on ahead to another clip. Just give me a moment.
It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of
Now, albeit late, they did have a bill to address the situation with the migrants. Okay, yeah, it had bipartisan support by both parties, not just some moderate Republicans, but conservative Democrats. The bill was defeated. Guess who was responsible for shutting down the bill? Donald Trump. Why? Because it succeeded, it would have given credit to Joe Biden instead of fixing a problem. And again, let me make this perfectly clear. When it comes to the situation with the migrants or the asylum seekers or whatever the fuck they want to call these people today, Joe Biden screwed up big time. And in all fairness, Kamala Harris was given a role to try to deal with this migrant crisis. The one thing where when I think that they really did a piss poor job was dealing with the migrant crisis. Good evening, Ramon. Thank you very much for stopping by. Tonight, I'm just giving my reactions to the debate, or the so-called debate that we had last night. So, and of course, the intro Barico has his channel, so I'm going to ask that you show some love to him and subscribe to him as well. So now we will continue fair use.
Biden withdrawing after his last debate.
She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies.
How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Okay.
It is much higher because of them.
Okay, I have a guess. So what I'm going to do is, let me just state for the record that the views of those who appear on the panel are not necessarily those of the host of the channel. Any attempt to copy the material without the consent of the host is prohibited. By appearing on the call, you waive your rights to the image. Some of the views that people hold may be considered offensive to some viewers. If you do not like the content, you can block the channel. And now we're going to bring in my guest. Good evening, Ramon.
Hey, good evening, Jose. How you doing?
Fine. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay. Just staying up a little bit longer before I had to call it a night, but I wanted to show up for a little bit to show you some support.
Yeah, because apparently, I have people who disagree with me, but that's perfectly fine. I have no problem with people disagreeing with me. Did you see the debate? Okay, did you see the so-called debate last night?
Yes, I had a chance to. What's up, Irby? What's going on? So I see that you are kind of like reviewing it. So there might be a few things that I remember from last night, something in particular that you wanted to talk about, and maybe I can add a little bit to it.
Well, basically, I'm just showing bits and pieces of it because I'm not going to air the entire thing in its entirety because it's like 90 minutes long. I'm not doing a 5-hour stream or whatever. It's just that. It's just that. This is my opinion. Donald Trump did not have a good performance last night. I think we can all agree to that. Now, was there some question that Kamala Harris did not address? Okay, yeah, I could agree to that. But your thoughts?
I agree with you. I mean, because if you look up Fox News, even in Fox News, they couldn't really say anything too positive about it. except there was one of their conspiracy theories that started coming up with lies about Kamala wearing smart earrings, and according to them, there somebody backstage was telling her what to say through the smart earrings, just coming up with lies. I mean, just stacking lies like pancakes. It doesn't surprise me anymore that they come up with excuses. And that's just them making excuses for the fact that their boy didn't do that well, even though he was the one who had the most microphone time, because they were letting them. You remember mentioning on a previous live that the mainstream media, those three Trump with kitty gloves, and they let him do whatever he wants, and they let him talk a lot and ramble. It happened last night also. It happened again. I mean, he had like a total of 9 minutes more than Kamala of microphone time. They let him. They will let him. I mean, they were holding Kamala to the clock. You know that when they have a chance to speak, they only have 2 minutes, and they're actually having her on a clock. And when the clock runs out, she's supposed to stay quiet, not say anything anymore. But with Trump, they didn't have the same rule. I mean, they were not holding him to the same standard, because Kamala will say something, she will use her 2 minutes, and immediately Trump will jump in, and you will see some of the overhead shots in which you will see the desks of the moderators, and you will see that the clocks will be at 0. He wasn't even on the clock, and they will just let him ramble and talk and say whatever he whatever he wanted to say. There wasn't the same standard for both of them. It was like 9 minutes of microphone time that they gave Trump.
Yeah. This is the thing, and I wish people would understand this. The mainstream media has not addressed Trump's decline of cognitive skills. Okay? Basically, Trump is allowed to say whatever the fluff he wants. Okay? But they went on and on regarding Joe Biden. Now, in all fairness, Joe Biden had a serious decline in cognitive skills. We all saw. Of course. Okay.
Yeah, nobody's denying
it was
that.
Not just a debate. It was not just a debate. There was other occurrences. But if we're going to talk about Joe Biden and his cognitive skills decline, we need to do the same thing with Trump.
No, they're not going to do that. Mainstream media apparently feels like they need him so much, as if there is nobody else to talk about. 8 billion people on the planet. We can find somebody else to talk about. It doesn't always have to be Trump. They're just feeding his ego and his sense of importance and his sense of like he's so unique and so special. He already believes so much of that about himself, and mainstream media keeps feeding that. So yeah, they're not going to touch on that. Maybe for the theory that I told you about, that this mainstream platforms are corporate platforms, so their owners are maybe some of those billionaires that that Trump is close with, the Trump is cool with. So they're having to put certain restraints on the people that work there about talking about him. You see, that's theory. I don't know that for certain, but that I think makes sense.
Yeah.
There is a restriction on talking. They can't talk too badly about him because maybe the owner of the company is somebody who is friends with Trump.
Now, among some of the crazy thing he said was in Springfield, Ohio, that supposedly undocumented migrants are eating dogs and cats.
Yeah, that's an speculation about Haitians, because there is the stigma about Haitians. Now, granted, granted, there are certain Haitians that do practice voodoo, and voodoo does involve animal sacrifices. But it's the animal sacrifices that they do is no different from animal sacrifices that are mentioned in the Bible. Now, eating cats and dogs, and I will need some proof of that. I mean, people can just say it all over the place, but proving it is another thing entirely.
Well, actually, the moderator's was fact checking Trump, and they did say it was false. But guess what? He said was someone told him.
Mhm.
Good evening, Risa. Thank you very much for stopping by. And this is the thing. I mean, I think it was very disrespectful of what he said about the Haitians.
Mhm.
Okay? Because look, let me tell you something. I have met a couple of Haitians. For the most part, they're just regular folk, just like you and me. I mean, some of them do practice voodoo, but I mean, let's keep it real. We have some Dominicans and some Puerto Ricans that practice Santeria, but that doesn't mean all of us do it.
No, no. I see what Risa posted on the chat. Voodoo does do animal sacrifices. I mean, I'm from the Caribbean. You're not going to argue with me about that. So, yeah, in Santeria, to a degree, I understand that they do that too. Because a lot of the deities that are part of voodoo are also part of Santeria that was developed in Cuba, and that they are called the Orishas. The Orishas that traces back to the Yoruba tribe in what is now Nigeria.
So what? And one thing we have to understand: when the indigenous people, okay, I'm gonna try to say this without being too controversial because I'm already controversial as is. When they dealt with Christianity, what they would do is that they will show outward signs of Christianity, but then in secret they will continue their native beliefs.
Mm-hmm. No,
Okay.
that may be kind of like the only thing that could be happening, but anything about eating people's dogs and cats, I'm gonna need to see some proof of that.
But what the fact of the matter is, the moderators fact check, and say it was a hoax.
Right, because they couldn't prove it.
And look, the fact of the matter. Okay, now I know people who are into Santeria. I wouldn't practice it. I respect how they choose to worship.
Mhm.
All I ask is they do the same thing to me. That's all.
Yeah.
So, what other observations you wish to share regarding what happened last night?
Depending on the subject. I mean, which subject are you wanted to
Okay,
talk?
well, there was the issue about reproductive rights.
Well, I mean that is part of Project 2025. That's one of the main things about Project 2025, making the issue of abortion banned nationwide. I mean, now they have supposedly reverted it. Well, they have reverted it to an issue of states, and many states have issued state bans. But the thing is that is actually costing lives, because not every woman who is trying to carry a kid, and maybe they have an ectopic pregnancy that does need either an abortion or surgery to take care of that. Not everybody can travel to a different state and get that done. and that's risking the lives of several women when it comes to that. So the putting a whole nationwide ban on that, that's going to cost lives, and that
Yeah.
takes away choices. That takes away choices on the woman. It's not only women that are affected; families are affected. The loss of a mother could affect the life of another children that she has, and that affects other people around. It's not just the person.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to this issue, this touches me in a particular way, and I'm going to explain it how. My mother had a high-risk pregnancy at age 40. She was advised by her physician to terminate the pregnancy. My mother chose not to terminate, and she gave birth considering the risk she was taking, which no, she
Yeah.
could have died, and also the fetus could have died as well. So, good evening.
Good evening. Now, it actually, I'm going to go around and say this, and I don't really care. I was a high risk pregnancy too, but like me and now I know why you and I are good friends, don't Jose? Now, with that said, my mother gave birth to me when she was 42 years old. So, on that note, when they were talking about all this stuff at the debate, me and my wife was actually laughing. We was laughing because there was inconsistencies, more on Trump's part, but then there was certain stuff that Kamala Harris didn't say either. For example, I know that she went up and she made her points, and she smokes Donald Trump. But one of the things that she didn't do in the debate might hurt her in the long run. I mean, every time they were mentioning her father, she skipped right through the question, and she always referred to her mother. So it just gives off. I'm like, okay, like you're not mentioning your father because of a political move, or this is very calculated, and then there might be something more. Because oh no, how many debates do presidents usually have in the United States when it's election season? I just want to know.
It varies. I think there have been times where there have been as many as three, of which
All right,
one is it's in a town setting. But I have a feeling in this one we're only going to have two.
all right. Because I remember that there was a debate between Vice President Cheney and somebody else, and there was like, yo, Cheney Cheney was no joke when he actually was debating, and people were trying to bash him and cancel him and everything like that. But one thing I could actually say in the debate, he actually held his ground.
Yeah.
Not
Okay,
like
No.
not like old Cheeto.
you might be talking about during the second Bush administration. I think that's when he was vice president.
Yeah, and the first Bush administration too, because Bush was holding it down for 8 years.
Well, in all fairness, Bush was the last Republican that actually won both the popular vote and the electoral college.
Well, the first time it
But
was questionable. It was questioned, and there were
yeah, it was.
because of what
It
happened in
was.
Florida. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's something I'm sure there's still a lot of hurt feelings behind that still. But to continue my point, my mother decided to carry the child to term. My sister
Yep.
was also involved in a high-risk pregnancy. She decided to terminate hers. So what happened was my mother did not look at this very favorably. Me, seeing what happened, I just look at it as two women made different choices based on the option that was available to them. So, in my estimation, they both did not do anything wrong. They both made the choices that they made, and you have to respect their choices.
Exactly.
But the problem with Trump has gone through so many different flip flops regarding this issue. First, he was
Oh yeah.
pro-choice, then he became
Oh
pro-life.
yeah.
Then he's talking about who's going to be good for women's reproductive rights, infuriating the evangelical community because they felt abandoned. I will submit to you, Donald Trump is doing whatever just to get himself elected. I have more respect for someone that is pro-choice and been consistent about it since day one.
All right. And me personally, this is one thing I have to say about Mr. Cheeto or whatever.
Well, let's
Now, now,
just refer to
now,
as
as yeah, Trumpito. Anyway, um, I'm looking at the debate and everything like that. And as you know, I reside in Philadelphia. So you have all this security and you had the debate and everything like that and everything. So you went up and knocked off all the streets just for Donald Trump's to actually say that they're actually getting our cats and everything. Now, I'm just looking at the debate and everything. And you know me, as I'm a pet owner, I'm feeling really scared for my cat. I mean, my cat could actually defend herself and everything like that. But at the same time, she's so snuggly and everything. I don't want her to be eaten by these migrants, I believe. Yeah, they say that they're actually stealing dogs and cats. And they're unaliving ducks. Okay, dogs and cats is a no-no. But what policy that that is bad to unalive a duck? I mean, like I guess you have to go through the red tape on how to actually get a duck and everything like that. But if a guy is just going around minding his own business and he's killing a duck, I mean, come on. You know that food is corrupt, but if he was going out and killing the duck, you gotta salute that man. He's killing a duck.
But you know what I found? Okay, but you know, Donna Mano, what I found comical? None of these people have actually dealt with the migrants. I have. Okay?
Yep.
I have.
Mhm.
I have personally serviced these people for over a year. Okay? And the majority of these people that I have taken care of, they are people who, for whatever reason, left their countries to escape whatever was going on, and they wanted to move to the United States. Okay, and I'm sure it wasn't an easy decision for any one of these people to make. And contrary to what people are talking about, these people have documents. My issue is that these people are not being fully and properly vetted. Okay, because why? Because we're taking all these people. Because all of a sudden we're save the world. We gotta save the entire world from whatever, and we can't do that. And this is where I I truly believe that Joe Biden's dropped the ball. But let's neither here nor there. Ramon, your thoughts?
Well, if we're talking about the whole immigration part, yeah, you mentioned about the bipartisan border deal that was killed by the
Yes.
Republicans. Now, I do agree. That something could have been done earlier, but I do understand that the current administration has already deported more people than Trump ever did. I mean, we're talking about well over the 500,000 mark. So yeah, something better could have been done, but there is also the busing that border states are doing to other states, which is actually costly to the state. Me being in Texas, there is that thing that what it's doing. That okay, there are people that are crossing, but instead of they catch them, but instead of handing them over to border patrol, they're putting them in buses and sending them to other parts of the country, including New York. So, and
Yeah.
that's something that costs the state more instead of just
All
handing
right.
them over.
I got a question to ask you, Ramon, right?
Hmm.
In your own city, right?
Yeah.
Is that gang trained to Fartagua in your city right now?
Tren de Aragua? No, I haven't seen anybody. I know that there was a girl on TikTok that was talking about that Tren de Aragua was taking over an apartment complex, like what was alleged that was happening in Aurora, Colorado, but I haven't seen anything about that. I just haven't seen it. I
I
haven't.
mean, like,
I live
I
in a
mean,
border state, and I don't see any Tren de Aragua over here.
it's funny, right? Like, we're hearing about New York, and we're hearing about Chicago and Boston and all the other cities, right? That has these people,
Yeah.
but I don't know how they missed how if all these guys are not even in Philadelphia.
Hmm.
I wonder why. I mean, it's bad enough that we actually have, like, you know the opioid crisis or whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I'm like, are these trained Artagua? They're actually scared of Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. It just got
Uh,
me thinking.
maybe they're afraid that they bring their cats and dogs and people will eat them.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
know, right? Yeah, I mean, like, yo, it's like they saying, I think I'm gonna be scared for my cat too. I mean, like, you gotta come on. We gotta go and represent for the cats and dogs. You know what I'm saying? I
You know
mean,
something? But you know something? For 20 and 28, I think I should launch a campaign, and my motto would be "Make America Cold Again."
Don't start with that. No, no, no. Jose, don't start. Don't start with the weather thing.
And then and then as a side part, let's protect our cats and dogs.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's fine. There are pet lovers out there. Yeah, that would be a
yo,
thing. I've
yo,
had
have you seen
dogs. I'm not
have you
needing
seen
any.
my have you
Mhm.
seen my icon?
Yeah, yeah, we see it.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show one more piece of the video, and then because like I said, it's like 90 minutes, and I'm not doing a 5 hour stream, okay?
Mhm.
Because just give me a moment.
Yeah. Well, I'm about to head out, Don Jose and Ramon. So, shout out to Denise and everybody who's actually under chat. I just got off my live stream, but you know what? Much love to all y'all.
All right, you too. You too.
Okay, thank
Appreciate
you very much,
All right.
Don Armando.
Anytime.
Yes. Okay. Oops. Okay, let's play this.
Tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States, and world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling, and the American people deserve better.
I'll give you 1 minute to respond, Mr. President.
Let me just say about world leaders. Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men, they call him a strong man. He's a tough person, smart. Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago, it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because you need Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline in our country, he ended that. But he let the Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany, the biggest pipeline in the world. Look, Viktor Orban said it. He said the most respected, most feared person is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president. But when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her.
I think I'm going to stop it here. Your thoughts, Ramon?
This Viktor Orban that Trump is talking about, he's the prime minister of Hungary. He is the equivalent of Trump. He's one of these guys that Trump looks up to because he's made the same vows about making Hungary great again. This is a quote. So he's one of those strongman types that Trump looks up to. That's that Viktor Orban that he's talking about. I mean, he's up there with the likes of Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un. Those are the guys that he likes to meet and to be around. And he loves these guys. He admires these guys, these strongman types that he likes to be around. Viktor Orban is one of them.
Yeah.
He's what he wants to do. Viktor Orban is what Trump wants to be, just like he wants to be like Vladimir Putin.
Yeah. Well, like I said before, the whole point of tonight's stream is to give him my reactions. Okay. Who you think did well and who you think did crappy?
Well, I have to once again. I have to before I tell you that I have a bone to pick with ABC because they did the same thing that CNN did. They let Trump do whatever he wanted. They let him ramble. They let him go on and on talking, and they were holding Kamala to the clock. Yeah, it was her 2 minutes and her 2 minutes only. And when she will be done speaking, immediately Trump will jump in off the clock and he will talk as much as he wanted. And they were letting him. They wouldn't stop him. They wouldn't tell him like we will get to you, wait your turn. They wouldn't tell him anything like that. They will let him go on and talk and getting all loud and flustered and angry and sweating. I don't know if you noticed that he started to sweat and all of that. He was getting all mad because of a couple of things that Harris said that got under his skin, especially the part about what she said about his rallies. which is 100% correct, because the whole thing about what's happening in his rallies is on video. It's on video, and of course he had to say, "No, I have all of the rallies. My rallies are. I have the most incredible rallies." Something along those lines. You know how he talks, and he was saying like, "Nobody goes to her rallies. Everybody goes to my rallies." Okay, well, we got video.
Okay. Well, let's keep it real. And this is, I'm this point, I'm talking to the Trump supporters that are still watching this, who are going to watch the stream. And I'm going to get a few interesting comments tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say the following, okay? It's not made up that the crowds are less and less and less. Why? Because people are getting tired of Donald Trump's oldest hits. How the election was rigged, how Kamala Harris is a communist, how Tim Walz he wants to put tampons in the men's locker rooms and all that. I mean, no, people are tired of listening to the same old. People get tired of listening to the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to our Trump rally, that's what's going to happen. If you go to a Kamala Harris rally, it's a different thing. It's for the capacity, because as much as you may disagree with her,
Mm-hmm.
she's projecting a message of hope or perceived hope. Okay? Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, it's a lot of people. It may not be the same thing. I don't see it as the same thing, but many people are comparing what's going on with Kamala with what happened with Barack Obama back in 2008. They're kind of comparing it because it was about hope also. His campaign, Barack Obama's campaign, it was also about hope. And he proved to be a step up from George W. Bush, because I don't know if you remember during the Bush years, he was getting clowned a lot because he didn't know things, and he will speak a lot of off the cuff, not knowing what he was talking about, and people will be making fun of him. A lot of people don't remember that now because so many people have short memories. But I do remember how much he will be clowned because of certain times when he will be speaking, and he also said something about he had a problem with dictators unless he was the dictator, something along those lines, from what I recall. So he will mess up. He will open his mouth and put his foot in it because a lot of the time he just wasn't measuring what he was saying. He will be no filter at times, and there will be something called the Bushisms. The Bushisms is expressions that he will make that will be documented but wouldn't make any sense. I don't know if that's something that you can still find, but I remember seeing that back in the day.
I remember.
Bushisms.
But let me ask you a question. In the RNC, the Republican National Convention, how many Democrats actually spoke in favor of Donald Trump?
Oh, no, nobody. And there were a number of Republican politicians, people that were lifelong Republicans and conservatives, and that were speaking at the Democratic convention endorsing Kamala Harris, along with the over 200 other Republicans that have been endorsing him, including the Cheneys and other people that worked in other Republican administrations that are endorsing her. And former presidents. There were the former Barack Obama endorsed her, and Bill Clinton endorsed Kamala Harris. At the RNC, I don't recall any past president endorsing Trump.
There
I
were
don't
none.
recall.
There were none.
Exactly. There were none,
There were
and
none.
no Democrat was at the RNC. There were Republicans at the DNC, though. So who is the one who's getting the more support?
Okay. And this whole thing about that no one voted for Kamala Harris. Well, I got news for you. It was the same situation with Gerald Ford.
Mhm.
Okay, because look, when after Spiro Agnew resigned because of a scandal regarding taxes when he was the governor of Maryland,
Mhm.
uh, Gerald Ford was picked to be the VP. So therefore, when Nixon resigned,
Mhm.
Ford became president without the benefit of an election. So, so those who saying it's not the same thing, you
Mhm.
need to look at the facts. It is the same thing.
Yeah, because a lot of people they go on and talking about how there are so many Democrats that are so mad that didn't have a choice when it comes to electing the candidate for president. I will agree that it would have been ideal if there had been other candidates or other Democratic candidates who wanted to be on the ticket. They will have campaigned to be on the ticket for the Democratic nomination for president, but nobody stepped up. Nobody else stepped up and tried to be on the ticket. And one of the functions of a vice president is to take over, step in 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 a situation where the president is on this post.
Yeah.
That's part of the job of a vice president.
And let's keep it real. Before the DNC, they did have a virtual vote, and they voted for Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm. No, because
So,
a lot of people bring up how she tried to run for president for the Democratic ticket. She tried to do it on her own against the other candidates, and it didn't go nowhere. True, true. It didn't go nowhere. It wasn't her time. Maybe it's because it wasn't meant to be at that time. And later, when Biden picked her, because that's how it always is. I mean, the the presidential candidate picks his or her running mate, just like what happened with Tim Walz. I mean, Harris picked Tim Walz. It wasn't an election for who was going to be the vice president, but since Joe Biden is not going to be running for president again. I know that hasn't happened before, but he was still in office, and he decided not to run again because okay, he's older and he's dealing with cognitive decline, and he's past 80 years old, and not long from now, Trump is also going to be 80 years old, and he's kind of like showing signs. He's not up there. He's not up there in the same situation as Joe Biden. But as you have mentioned yourself, that he's already showing signs that there is a certain type of decline that is very familiar, that looks very familiar in comparison to Joe Biden. I have seen those videos where he's coming out of a door and he starts waving to nobody, or he kind of like starts looking in a direction and there is nobody there. It's kind of like the thing that was happening with Joe Biden. Yes, it did happen with Joe Biden. He would try to shake hands with somebody who wasn't there. But we're starting to see some of the same things with Trump.
yeah.
So it's not ideal. I know it's not ideal that by default, Kamala is now the presidential candidate. It was by default. Nobody stepped up and challenged for the nomination. Nobody ran. Nobody campaigned for the nomination. So by default, when it comes to, since Joe is not going to run again, by default that will put Kamala at the top of the ticket, or at least front runner is there have been other people also running for the candidacy. Nobody
Mhm.
else ran. Well, by default, she becomes the nominee.
Yeah. Now, the last time anything similar to this happened was in 1968 when Lyndon Johnson, when he was, no, he tried to run for another term. And then, like around March, he ended his campaign. The difference is no one has ended their campaign this late in the election season, which was July,
Mhm. Yeah.
which was a month before the DNC.
Mhm.
But in all fairness, Joe Biden should never have run for a second term.
No, he shouldn't have. He
Okay.
shouldn't. I agree.
Okay. So what should have happened is he should have stepped down. The Democratic Party should have had a primary, and then everyone who's a Democrat should have an opportunity to campaign and state the state case why there should be the party's candidate.
Mhm.
It didn't happen that way. And again, no one else voted for anyone else other
Yeah.
than Kamala Harris.
Yeah, again, I'll admit it's not the ideal situation, but I'm willing to work with what we get, with what we have here.
Yeah. So I know this is a sensitive question, but when are you going to produce content?
Ah, well, you always beat me to it, man. You always beat me to it. I might do, maybe I'll do something tomorrow about a whole
Well,
different subject. And maybe I can get the 18 letter to join me on that one because it has
okay,
to do with a comic book character. It has to do with yeah.
you're not going to believe this.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to be doing another stream on my smaller channel.
That- okay. But is it gonna be early or later?
It's going to be 9:30. It's going to be 8:30 your time.
Ah, okay. I'm gonna see if I can do something before that. So
Yeah. And guess what? Friday, I'm going to be doing another stream.
that's the thing. I thought that you went back to work.
I am back to work.
You did get back to work. Oh well. I mean, these are coming easy for you then. If you can do one every day. I mean, I can't do one every day because I'm not much of a talker. There are people that can do that almost every day because they're good
Okay,
at talking a lot. No.
but in all fairness, I mean, this one I'm just showing video clips.
Mhm.
Friday, I'm just expressing an opinion. So really, the one I have to do any research is tomorrow when I'm going to be talking about our Latino role models because we are approaching Hispanic Heritage Month.
Right. Okay. I got
So,
you.
I mean, I know it's a little bit of a challenge, to try to compete. I mean, so but now you know how I deal with because other people put on streams at the same time. So
Yes. I know. I'll try to do mine early. On this one, I want to also get the 18 letter to join me. Because there is this comic book character that I learned about that is actually Puerto Rican. But the imagery, I hate the imagery because it's basically Black Panther but Puerto Rican and with a white costume. Basically the same thing. It looks exactly the same, but it's called White Tiger. I mean, very original. So I'm gonna see if I can talk a little bit about that. But the thing is that it's a comic book character that is like almost 50 years old already, almost as old as I am.
yeah.
But but I only learned about it recently. But
Now,
when I look at it, it's like okay, they ripped off Black Panther, and I hate that.
well, today I was happy because at the job they had the air conditioning on.
Uh, I don't see why that is a thing, but isn't it warm up there where you are?
Well, I mean, people, believe it or not, I don't understand it. People, co-workers were complaining it was too cold. And then for me, I was just comfortable.
Yeah, I know. I know you were. I know you were.
Well, maybe we'll finally get a nice cold winter for a change. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. Well, yeah, for you, not for me. A little chilly, a little chilly. Okay, as long as we don't have to deal with no storm,
Okay, well,
no
remember,
cold storm.
my definition of a little chilly
Uh,
is when it gets down to the teens.
uh, all right, let's not start with that. Let's not start with that. Just thinking about it, it gives me brain freeze.
I mean, just thinking about it makes me happy.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it
But,
does.
so, any other thoughts you want to express regarding what happened last night?
Well, I mean, it's just that there were several subjects, and I'm going off the top of my head on that. And yeah, but I think that the response that Kamala had was very good, considering that she was working with limitations again, having a bone to pick with ABC, letting Trump ramble all he wanted, but holding Kamala to the clock when it came to her having to say something. And I'm gonna have a problem until they correct that, because on the CNN debate, I understand that they kind of did the same thing. He was free to talk as much as he wanted, and last night he was free to talk as much as he wanted, until really it was noticeable that he was getting too much time off the clock, and at times he was actually being told we need to. There are other topics that we have to get to. A couple of times he had to be told that, like, stop talking already. But
Yeah.
they didn't do that enough. So I'm having a bit of an issue with that.
Well, it could have been worse. It could have been on Fox News.
Maybe he might want the next one to be on Fox News, because he hasn't been on a platform that favors him, even though mainstream media platforms all seem to favor him. So I don't know. I don't know if maybe he might want to do another one. I wouldn't want Kamala to push for another one, because overall it is seen as if she won last night. So let it be that way. Let it be that way. If he doesn't want to do another debate, she did say something about wanting to do another debate. As you said before, presidential candidates usually will get as much as 3. And during the electoral season, we've seen it before, but because we're dealing with somebody so special as Trump, I don't know if we're gonna get another debate. But I'm looking forward to the vice presidential candidates to have their debate.
I think
I would
that's
like
going
to
to
see
be.
that one.
I think that's going to be another crap show as well. So
Oh,
what I'm gonna-
yeah. Because
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think JD Vance has a chance.
I mean, basically, he's more or less like Trump light.
Yeah. No, definitely, it had to be like that. Because of the narcissism of Trump, he wouldn't have another. He wouldn't have a running mate who is not as much like him as he will want. Now, let's understand with JD Vance. JD Vance used to really not like him. He was a never Trumper. He was a never Trump guy, in his own words, and he was critical of Trump just 4 years ago. What made him switch? What made him change? Maybe he's getting paid. That will be my guess. because if you look it up, you can look it up, all the clips of J.D. Vance, and he was actually very critical of Trump. He didn't want Trump to get back to the presidency. And he was fine with the fact that he had lost the election. He was critical of Trump, but he flipped entirely.
Yeah.
So he doesn't seem genuine to me. He's not genuine.
No. No. And of course, his remark regarding women who didn't have children called it in lonely cat ladies.
Oh yeah. I mean, he really messed up with with women on that one. On top of the whole thing about reproductive rights, all the issue that reproductive rights. I mean, Kamala has very much secure the women's vote. I mean, they're donating millions to her campaign. So she's gonna have to do that. She's gonna have to sign into law what she said that she's gonna do, because a big part of her getting into office is gonna be women, because a lot of this has to do with reproductive rights. That's a woman's issue.
Yeah. So, do you have time for a couple of minutes in the backstage, or you're really pressed for time?
No, yeah, I can be there for a few. I can be backstage.
Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take closing remarks. So we're gonna start with a person who has a mission to make love to 10,000 single mothers. Each one of them have 8 kids with 8 different baby daddies. Who wants to get on the subway and is not afraid of the little mices that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to go to Orchard Beach and swim in the water and compares it to the beaches of Puerto Rico. Who wants to go to Coney Island on New Year's Day and be a member of the Polar Bear Club, the Introvert Boricua.
Hey. Ay, Don Jose, you, man, I'm a little offended. You make me seem like I don't have any standards when it comes to the ladies. No, don't do that to me. No. I like my woman with the thickness, but in the right places. You want me to be hooking up with a whole bunch of cows, hippos, and whales that have a bunch of kids and that have been passed around and used. Now, ran through whales, ran through hippos and cows.
Hey, I didn't say anything. I didn't say about that they were fat. I just said they had a bunch of baby daddies. That's all.
Well, they're run through them. I don't want somebody who's run through. But I just wanted to say, I appreciate you letting me be on your panel. I know that I should have come in earlier, but I was a bit in the middle of something. But yeah, I mean, let's see what happens from now on when it comes to the situation with this election that we're going through. I look forward to the debate with the vice president candidates. I look forward to that, and maybe we can do a stream about it. And until then, I appreciate you letting me be on your panel. Shout out to the chat, and until next time, thank you for having me.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Ramon. I'm going to put you in the backstage, so don't go away.
Sure thing.
Okay. So now I'm going to give you my final thoughts. I decided tonight I was going to do my reactions to the debates. Okay. Now, did both of them have stellar performances? No. But I think it's clear which one was the responsible adult and which one was not. And I'm just going to leave it to your discretion who was who. Okay. I don't think there's going to be another presidential debate. I just don't see it. I could be wrong. And I think the next debate is going to be the vice presidential debate. That should be interesting. And again, the whole point is this. Whoever you wish to support, make sure you do research regarding what they want to do. And if you still feel comfortable, fine. It's just that I cannot see myself supporting Donald Trump for reasons that spoke about multiple times. So tomorrow night at 9:30 on my other channel, I will be discussing role models in the Latino community, being that we are approaching Hispanic Heritage Month. So I will be live on Latina Diaspora at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Friday, I'm going to state my case why I am not supporting Donald Trump. And I'm sure I'm going to have people that's going to disagree with me. That's fine. Let's discuss it. It's just that it's not so much an anti-Trump. It's just that I don't want to have, I'm sick and tired of him moaning and groaning. We got an election that he already lost almost 4 years ago. And it's time to move forward. As always, a huge shout out to everyone in the chat, particularly Latin Splaining, with Denise Gonzalez. And a huge shout out to those who appear on the panel. So with that being said, I'm going to close the same way I always close. We must do everything possible to avoid the presence of the mentally and intellectually challenged, because if we fail to do so, we will be infected by their stupidity and mass insanity. This has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron saying good night, take care, and peace.